Hey guys, welcome back to JD Mods, and today is a very exciting video if you've been following the K20 project on our YouTube channel. I'll get into the build if you haven't seen it in a little bit, but today is the very first test drive. So I'll admit that this isn't my very first test drive with this car, because I did take it out just around the block to make sure it wasn't going to overheat, anything was going to fail or whatever, and that passed good. So now I decided to show you guys on camera test driving the 2002, I believe, Honda Insight with the K20Z1 RSX motor. So what we'll do before we take it for a test drive, start it up, and then while it warms up, I'm thinking of just showing you around the whole car one more time for anyone who's new here and maybe haven't seen the build. Also, if you are new here, please hit that subscribe and notification bell icon so you can see more progress on this build as well as all of the other builds you can see behind me. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and fire up the Insight. I can also show you guys the interior if you haven't seen it before. Don't need the clutch to start it, so let's just put her in neutral. Fires up like a charm. The RPM on the stock Insight cluster, this one right here, is off by I think 25%, because that's expecting 3 cylinders and it's now a 4-cylinder. This tach is also off. The fuel gauge works, the coolant gauge does not work. So pretty much all this here does is show me check engine lights and our fuel gauge, and that might work once I get a few things worked out. We also have a air fuel ratio gauge. It's 13.5, which is pretty good for a cold start. As it warms up and the idles drop, that'll go right to 14.7. This is actually a vacuum and boost gauge, but this car is not boosted, so that just doesn't do anything. It's just a placeholder. And this is the oil pressure gauge, and with cold oil at idle, 75 psi is perfect. Hopefully that lowers down to around 25 once it's warmed up. And lastly, I have an OBD2 gauge to show the actual RPM, which is 1816. As you can see, this one's around 2500. And this also shows me the coolant temperature right there, 89 degrees Fahrenheit, and the battery, 14.3 volts. Anyway, since you probably can't hear me over the engine mounts, let's go outside, show you guys the rest of the car. I'll pop the hood first. Here's the cold start idle. It sounds okay. It gets a little quieter as the RPMs drop, of course. Alright, let me open up the hood now. So there's under the hood of the K20 idling away. You'd know pretty much everything about this car if you watch the videos, but if you haven't, I'll quickly poke my phone in the engine bay so you can see what it's all about. I'm not sure if you can hear me over the engine, but we have pretty much the K20Z1 out of a 2005 Acura RSX. It is mated to a 2004 6-speed RSX transmission. Has the PRB intake manifold, which isn't the highest horsepower manifold, but it fits under the stock K20 front cross member. We're running a Civic half rad, which keeps the temperatures very cool, which is quite impressive. Quick things to note: aftermarket fuel rail with 410cc injectors, has K24 camshafts. The entire fuel system is 6AN braided lines front to back. It has brand new steel braided brake lines. And other than that, it's pretty simple. Works very nicely. Custom cold air intake goes down to under the bumper, right around there somewhere. Idles very smoothly. You can hear the RPMs are starting to drop now. It has 75A swap engine mounts, AC delete, ABS delete. That's pretty much all I'm going to say for now. If you want to see more info on the builds, check out all the other videos on the channel. And I should also mention that this car was built for Ali's dad, so that's his stock 3-cylinder 97 horsepower Insight, and this is another one we acquired, and so this is the K-swap one. So it's kind of cool to have both. And as you can see, we left the stock rubber on for now and the stock paint, so when the hood's closed you really can't tell them apart except for the exhaust tip. Let me quickly show you guys the rubber we're working with for today's video. There are some Winter Pro 165/55 R14 on the stock, 14 by 5.5 rims. Sorry, my phone's having a hard time focusing here. But anyway, sounds like it is up to temperature. Let's go ahead and take it for a spin. Alright guys, so I'm sorry about the subpar filming angle, but it's the only way I could figure out how to mount the camera in this really tiny hybrid. So, let's go for the test drive. Once that car leaves. Alright, that'll do right there. We're going to do a first, second, third pull. Here we go. Hey guys, so after filming that clip you just saw, I had a friend film for me while I drove, so let me insert that clip right now. Not bad for an Insight. Alright guys, so that was just a very quick little test drive and one first, second, third gear pull in the K-Sight. As you can see, I barely had any traction. First gear I pretty much spun the whole way, then second I started to hook up, and then third gear I did hook up the whole way. But obviously it'd be a lot faster if I hooked up the first 3 gears. I did a very preliminary 0 to 60 time using that OBD2 gauge I have, which reads the speed from the ECU, which is accurate. You could notice in my video that you were a little bit able to see the speed, but it's not accurate at all. And we got a very preliminary 0 to 60 with the bad traction, bad tires, bad suspension of 6 seconds, which is really good for a timed 0 to 60. I bet you we can get this thing in the low 5 second, high 4 second with proper tuning of suspension and tires. And to finish off this video, I think it'll be kind of funny to show you guys the old Insight and the new K-Sight side by side. There's the new K-Sight that I've just shown you beside the old Insight. Let's take a quick look at the old Insight engine bay. So this is what the K-Sight engine bay used to look like probably about 6 months ago now, beginning of winter. So this is the 3-cylinder, I think it's a 1-liter motor. Makes around 97 horsepower with the hybrid system. It gets amazing mileage. It's around, I think, sub 4 liters per 100 kilometers. which is amazing, but obviously it is not super fast. It was never designed to be, but we decided to rip out that motor, AC, ABS, everything, and swap in this bad boy here. If you haven't seen the videos on this car on the channel, please hit that subscribe button down below and go check out the whole K20 series. It's just a big old playlist that you can watch if you want to know how we built this, how you can build one too. It was a very budget style build, especially for a car of this nature. So now the next steps for this project are to get the suspension fully tuned, proper tires, probably do a dyno tune session, and then we're going to hit the track. We're hoping to do motocross with this thing, like Auto X, and just a few daily driving pulls, etc. So I hope you guys like this driving video. If you love seeing cool projects, please subscribe to the channel, because we have a lot more projects where that came from. There's a couple right there, believe it or not. And I hope you guys enjoy the video on the first drive in the K20. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, what we should do with the tires, keep it sleeper, do something cool like that. But as always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.